So guys, back with another one. In this video I'm going to talk about how we go about signing clients for both ourselves and for our partners in quote-unquote saturated markets, and the 3 steps that we take and we always keep at the forefront of our mind when reaching out and when trying to sign new clients. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was niching down. So before I actually go into the details of this, I want to say, for example, e-commerce is not a niche. So a lot of people pick a niche, they'll say marketing agencies, they'll say e-commerce, they'll say SaaS, but that's not actually a niche. That is so broad, it's absolutely crazy. So to really highlight this, I just wanted to go over how many sub-niches there actually are within something like e-commerce. And like you can see the list here, it's endless, it's crazy. I think there's about 35 here. So every single decision maker in one of these sub-niches will have a completely different set of pain points, set of goals, and they'll be completely different to market to. So this is how important it is to actually niche down, to pick a sub-niche, and it makes everything you do so much easier because you're marketing to one specific type of person. I don't understand why you wouldn't niche down, why you wouldn't choose a sub-niche. You're actively choosing to make things harder for yourself. Because when you pick something like this, for example, you say e-commerce, let's say you have case studies in fashion and apparel anyway, and you specifically choose to it, you're no longer marketing to e-commerce as a whole, which anyone would find very, very hard. You can now pick a specific avatar within the fashion and apparel industry and market specifically to them. It's going to make producing content so much easier. It's going to make doing outreach so much easier, doing paid ads so much easier. It's going to make everything a hell of a lot easier, and it's going to make you get 10 times the results. Something around that anyway. So essentially, every single decision maker with these brands, like I said, has an entirely different set of problems, and they have an entirely different criteria of what you should use as a marketer in order to get the results from them. The next thing that I wanted to mention was using proven results and case studies in your marketing. So essentially, it's kind of like the reading analogy. The person that doesn't use case studies, they have no advantage over the person who doesn't have them. So if you have case studies but you're not actively using them, basically the same as someone who has no case studies. So prospects that you're reaching out to, they actively want to solve the problems that they currently have, they're currently dealing with. And everyone wants to solve the problems and things causing them pain in life. It's like absolutely anything. You want to find a solution to alleviate that pain, and that's your job as a marketer, to alleviate that pain. So why not give the prospect more confidence that you can truly solve the problem that they're facing? So just a simple framework for the case studies that you can do. They should clearly articulate where the customer was before working with you, where they are now, and ultimately the tangible outcome that you've helped them achieve. So whether that's revenue, whether that's time saved, it can really be anything. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was keeping your messaging targeted and relevant to that sub-niche that you're targeting. So everyone likes to talk about the 80-20 principle, 20% input for 80% of the outputs. In cold email, the leads that you use and the targeting that you use for those leads is that 20% that's going to give you 80% of the output. So make sure who you're targeting, you understand their pain points, you understand what motivates them to buy, what's actually going to make them spend money and make the decision to work with you. You can't afford to go broad, as every sub-niche thinks very differently to one another. Even if you're grouping a bunch of job titles together in your cold outreach, let's say you're targeting CMOs, CFOs, and the CEOs, all 3 of them they will have a completely different set of motivators and a different set of problems they're currently dealing with. So the copy that you use is going to appeal to each person in those job roles very, very differently. So that's why it's imperative to understand who exactly they are reaching out to, and you need to make it extremely relevant to them. So like I said before, you instantly make things harder for yourself by going broad. And by going broad, you put yourself in even more competition and you make things way harder. Because if we go back up here to the top, how many people do you know are targeting e-commerce in general? Whereas if you go one step further, how many people do you know are targeting crafts and handmade e-commerce stores in particular? Like, where do you think more competition is? It's obviously in the crafts and handmade products area. So pick a specific niche, conduct the market research, speak directly to the companies to get feedback, to get what they're struggling with, and then you can use that in your offer, which will appeal to them way more. You can also use Google, ChatGPT to help with this immensely as well. And marketing is really 70% pain points in offer, 20% the copy that you're using in your outreach or your ads or whatever you're running, and 10% tech. So spend the time wisely, and if you do the boring stuff at the start, the market research, find out exactly what your prospects truly want, it's going to save you so much time later down the line. So yeah, these are just 3 tips that I wanted to share in terms of how we actually go about signing clients in quote unquote saturated markets. Because the main thing that we do differently is we niche down and we instantly make the market less saturated. So like I said, SaaS isn't a niche, e-commerce isn't a niche. You know, it just becomes so much easier when you pick a sub niche, research everything about that sub niche, truly try and understand them, and then reach out to them with relevant messaging that proves that you have an understanding of that niche. And you back it up with case studies. It's going to make it so much easier. So I don't want to talk to you guys. I don't want to give you advice about how to do stuff. I just purely want to share what has worked for me in terms of signing clients in quote unquote saturated markets. And it's kind of ironic because, to be honest, markets like this within e-commerce, if you pick a specific niche, it's not going to be saturated. So I'd probably call this video how to sub niche down and instantly decrease the saturation of your market by 70% or something like that. But yeah, anyway, that's everything that I wanted to talk about. If you are an established agency owner making above 50k a month in monthly revenue, you have existing case studies, you have the desire to scale up the agency, your main service is paid ads or something of the sort, feel free to book a call in the description with me. Purely go over the problems you're currently facing, or go over your current outbound strategy and just see if there's a solution to help you. Don't worry, there's no pictures on the first call or anything like that. It's purely just a call to get to know each other. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you. Goodbye.